What an honor to bring out this amazing lady. Of course, I think most of us have followed Kate's career prior to Voyager, but she certainly rose to international prominence with her amazing role as Kathryn Janeway. It's really an honor to have her here. Please join me in a very nice warm welcome from Miss Kate Mulgrew.
Thank you very much. My heavens, how daunting. And how thrilling. I'm happy to be here in Vegas with the incomparable Adam Malin, who asked me nothing but a series of very personal, very difficult questions.
Yes.
All right.
Actually, more of a comment. You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
And I have to keep remembering because I get so absorbed with Red. And by the way, the latest season was amazing.
Did you like it?
I loved it, yeah. I'm a huge Orange is the New Black fan. I love that show. As a matter of fact, I love it so much, we're trying to put together an Orange is the New Black.
Yes,
event.
I understand that.
We've had some challenges on the timing of that. So we were talking about something in October, and I don't know if you've even heard yet, but I think we're talking about pushing that date back.
That's fine.
This may be the first you're hearing of it, but yeah, we want.
This is the first I'm hearing of it. See? Didn't I tell you? He's going to surprise me.
But we really want to do that. But Red is such an intense character. I get so immersed in Red that, you know, forgive me for saying this, I forget what a beautiful woman you are, because Red is, you know, such a severe character, and you've created such a persona.
I forgive you.
You've created such a persona with her that then I'm back with you again, and it's lovely. Kate again.
I've been lucky that way. Do you know? I look back on my life as an actress and I think, yeah, there are certain things I regret, certainly, certain things I missed. I've been acting since I was 19. I'm 62 now. So that's, you know, 4 decades plus. And I think I've had 4 iconic characters. I had Mary Ryan out of the gate. She was marvelous, created by my dear and wonderful friend Claire Labine. Then I leapt to Mrs. Columbo. Perhaps a little bit of a misstep there in terms of my relationship with my husband, because it was absurd. I was only 23. Peter Falk was, what, 60? But nonetheless, she was a great character. And then some years ensued, and we came to Star Trek Voyager, which was the defining role, certainly. And now Red. So it's been lucky, Adam, you know? It's been unusually lucky in that regard.
But to sort of see where it all comes from, we've got to go back to Dubuque and kind of go to your childhood, an Iowa girl growing up. So kind of tell me about your childhood.
Oh my God.
And your parents.
I wrote about my childhood. I was born in Dubuque, Iowa. What does that mean, that applause? What is the significance
I think
of
you have
that?
some Iowans
Very
out there.
scattered applause.
You have some Iowans out there.
Maybe Iowans, maybe Heartlanders, right? I love Iowa. Iowa's great. I don't particularly like the way they vote or think politically, but I love Iowa. And I'm very proud to be from Iowa. But I was born into an Irish, Catholic American family to 2 extremely unusual, unorthodox, unconventional, and very, very attractive people who dazzled us. My God, my little mother, who was this tiny, had 8 children, 12 pregnancies in 12 years. And I used to look at her and think, this is the most fascinating woman I will ever know. And it is true, to this day. My father was the same. But a lot of drama, a lot of intrigue. It was a very intellectual family and creative family. And my mother is the one who said, you will be an actress. I said, no, 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 you've got that wrong. I'm going to be a writer. She said, no, 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 you've got that wrong. You are going to be an actress. And that's exactly what
She knew before you did.
You know, Adam, and I'll bet there are a lot of people out there who are going to agree with this. The mother can decide things, can't she? She can decide things for you. And she did it. I should have resisted. I didn't. I'm glad I didn't. As it turns out, it looks like I'm going to have a shot at both things, right? But at that time, she looked at me quite keenly and said, "You may think you can write, but you are a mediocre writer. Whereas my suspicion is that you will be a great actress. Which do you want to be?" "Okay, Mom, say no more." So that was it.
That's so intense. Now, she was an artist, right? A painter?
She was a painter, a wonderful painter.
And so, being involved in the creative arts, I mean, she would have a natural intuition for that, and I think have some entitlement to make that judgment for you, or maybe not.
I think when you're the oldest girl in a family of 8 and the second born, the mother regards you as a possible arrow that she can send into the world. And in my mother's case, it was not so much vicarious as it was her own probably unfulfilled dreams. My mother came from the East. She wanted to be a painter, and she had many, many dreams for herself that did not come true because she ended up procreating for most of her life. So I think that her idea for me was that I should get out very young. I left at about 17, and I never looked back, and to become successful in a way that I think she probably had wished she herself had become.
Now, how did you come to go to Stella Adler's school, the Stella Adler's Conservatory?
Well, I was sort of up against it because I made the finals at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts, but I was only 16 years old when I flew over there for the final audition process. And it took about 3 weeks. It's very rigorous over there. And at the end, I did
rigorous, right?
Very, very rigorous.
Very difficult to get into.
Yes,
Yeah.
very difficult. And I was 10 years younger than their student norm. So I was 16,
Oh, wow.
and most of their students were about 24, 25.
I didn't realize that.
So Michael Langham said to me, "We understand your passion, and you are in every way, I think, going to be an actress, but you are far too young for this particular conservatory. Come back in a few years and we'll try again." So then, my father sent me a telegram where I was staying in London and said, "Get home now. You're going to the local college." And I sent him a telegram right back saying, "I am not coming home, now or ever. You will never see me again." And he wrote back just 2 words, "Like hell." And that started the war, and I didn't go home. So I applied quickly to NYU. I got in, and there was a conservatory training program. Stella Adler was the teacher in conjunction with the academia, and that's what I did, and it changed the entire game for me.
Yeah, and don't you find that no matter how much sort of natural talent that you have, that proper professional training is kind of the catalyst that really can help you emerge as a proper artist?
I think so. Although I think that's been disputed.
I mean, some people have natural skill, but I just know, speaking on behalf of myself, I mean, I majored in music, I graduated in music, and I don't feel that I could be the musician that I am without having had that formal background.
Yeah, I do. It's a very good foundation. It's important.
And that's a distinguished foundation, too.
Yeah.
So now, not too long after that, you stumbled into Ryan's Hope. I mean, that's incredible, right? Anybody familiar with the show? You marry Ryan.
I stumbled, but I cheated.
Kind of an iconic character.
Yeah, she was great, and I cheated because I dropped out of the conservatory and dropped out of NYU. I never told my father. And I got myself an agent, and within 2 weeks I was making my stage debut at the American Shakespeare Theater in our town, and a little thing by the name of Ryan's Hope came a-calling. And Claire Labine shook my hand and she said, "Oh my God, you're Mary." And that was it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
How old were you?
Greatest of all for the friendship, I must tell you that. Was I 19 when I met Claire? 19?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
To anchor a show, I mean, like that is...
Sometimes everything conspires to make it
It's
wonderful.
amazing, really. So what, we actually do the official General Hospital convention. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No.
We work with ABC, and we work with that whole cast.
Great.
And I'm fascinated by the soaps. They're really marvelous.
Well, there was nothing like that soap, Adam. Don't confuse
Yeah.
that. Excuse me for saying this. It
No,
shouldn't
no,
be-
I know. I'm just saying the way in which shows are constructed.
Yeah.
The creative ability of the teams to put together 5 shows a week like that is it's remarkable.
Yeah, but her idea was so unusual.
Yeah.
That was profoundly original. An Irish family in New York, in a
Yeah.
bar, it was sensational. Yeah, unusual,
I mean,
right?
how do you handle that kind of memorization even? I mean, you've got to have an amazing...
People always ask about memorizing lines. That's always been the least of it for me. It's a little more challenging now. I will admit that, regrettably. But I've always had a photographic memory. That was always the least of it. I could memorize 10, 20 pages, no problem. That's not it. That's never the part that's harrowing. The parts that is harrowing is if I believe what I'm doing, if I can endow it with that reality, and if I can give it, texture.
Well, can we talk for just a minute about Mrs. Columbo, because it's kind of a fun, charming role, and I mean, Peter is kind of an icon, and
yeah, but he wasn't on it with me.
No, he wasn't on it with you, but just the fact that you're kind of following in his footsteps and getting...
No one can follow in that man's footsteps.
No, I know, but...
There's only one Peter Falk, right?
I actually just saw him in a movie called The Great Race, which is a Blake Edwards film, which was a real revelation to me because I thought it was so much fun. But how did the role come about, the Mrs. Columbo role? How did that happen?
Fred Silverman, who was then the head of programming for NBC, had watched me on Ryan's Hope. And I guess that my numbers were very high. A lot of women really wanted to follow Mary Ryan. She captured the imagination of a certain demographic at a time in this country when it was wonderful. So he came a-calling. And I will tell you this story because it goes to show you how life changes us, how life has changed me. And what I was when I was young, which was very, very fearless, because Fred Silverman called my agent. My tenure at Ryan's Hope was up. My 2 years was up. I told Claire I was leaving. I wanted to go to the theater. I wanted to spend the rest of my life working in the theater and becoming a truly evolved actress. And that was fine. And the phone rang and it was my agent and he said, Fred Silverman is in town. He is the head of programming for NBC.
A super powerful guy.
The most powerful, and he would like you to have lunch with him. And I said, why? He said, wants to talk to you about something. I said, okay. So I went over to NBC, top of the rock, and I walked in a room. I had to go up to the penthouse. I got off. I remember because I only had one sort of little wonderful suit, only one, and one pair of really good shoes. And a woman greeted me and she said, they're waiting for you in the dining room. And we went into the dining room and there were 12 men at this table.
Seems intimidating.
Intimidating. They all stood, which was also terrific. Please sit down, Miss Mulgrew. We're delighted to meet you. We would like to propose to you the following. We would like to develop a series around you. A spin-off to a very successful series called Columbo, starring Peter Falk. Of course, I blanched because I knew how great that was. And I said, about 10 minutes into this, Mr. Silverman, I'm not going to waste your time or the time of the other gentlemen at this table. Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure. I'm, very flattered. But my answer to you is now and always will be, no thank you. I have to go back to the theater. I'm a serious actress. I don't want to do television. I've done my little bit of television. No more television for me. Thank you very much. He stood up and he said, I think you should. I said, no, there's really not another word to be said. It's been lovely. It's been charming. Can I take my sandwich with me? Bye-bye. I didn't get 2 feet in the door, but the phone rings and it's my agent. He said, what are you thinking about? I said, what do you mean? He said, nobody leaves a luncheon put together by Fred Silverman. You didn't even listen to the pitch. I said, I heard enough. I don't want to do a series in Hollywood. I want to be a great actress in the theater in New York. That's what I'm supposed to be. He said, no, you're not. If you want a long-term career, you just can't walk out like that. I understand and will value and honor your final decision. But you must return to my office immediately and allow Mr. Silverman on the phone to finish his pitch. And then if your answer is no, we will accept it. I said, Stark, come over. I said, all right, I went. And that was the moment, wasn't it, ladies and gentlemen? I went. It's Sicilian, isn't it? It's Sicilian. I went into my business manager's office, which was very dark, all plush red stuff, and big phone in the middle of the glass table. Fred Silverman's on the phone. My business manager is there, my agent. Mr. Silverman, yeah, Kate is here and she's prepared now to listen to the rest of your pitch. And Fred Silverman said, I'll be very, very brief, concise, and I won't waste your time, Miss Mulgrew, which we now have come to understand is so precious.
Oh my God.
I'm going to offer you the following to come to Hollywood and do one season. He named this. I think he named a house, a car, a bungalow, 2 drivers, another dressing room on the studio lot at Universal, a secretary, and then of course he got into the money. I'd never heard anything like it in my life. I mean, I'd never heard anything like it in my life. It was absolutely foreign to me. And that's when I understood that I was Sicilian. When he was finished, I simply took a deep breath and I said, Mr. Silverman, to coin a phrase, you have made me an offer I can't refuse. He said, that is exactly correct. Now you're talking like a real actress. And I accepted it.
That's
so,
awesome. But,
you know, it's a little...
But, and then Voyager, which is so amazing, and we'll talk about in a couple of minutes, kept you from your theatrical destiny that you had planned for yourself.
Yeah, right.
But...
Oh, no, that didn't.
No.
In the theater.
No, afterwards, after Voyager,
yeah.
You had a second renaissance on the stage, starting with Tea at 5.
Right.
Anybody familiar with Tea at 5? Please tell me about how you got involved with that work, because I mean, it was, you really channeled Hepburn. It was a
great
role for you.
That was hard. That was hard and that was lonely.
Yeah.
Rigorous work to be all alone on the stage.
Who put that together for you?
A guy by the name of Matthew Lombardo. And it's a project that never dies. It just had a resurgence. They wanted me to do it again. But I think I have done it aplenty. He came to me in my dressing room on Paramount, just at the very end of Star Trek Voyager, and said, he had a whole thing of calla lilies in his arms. And he said, he got down on his knees and he said, please say yes. I said, what is it? He said, it's the life of Kathryn Hepburn. I said, let me look at it. And of course it was irresistible, because in Act 1, she was young, on the verge of accepting and putting together Philadelphia Story. And in Act 2, she was 82 after that terrible car accident. So I got to play the very young Kate and the very, very old Kate. And it was great, great fun, and audiences adored it. I went all over the country. Yeah. But a killer, because I was so alone. I couldn't go out, I couldn't have fun, you know, tough. I had to really watch it.
The character of Laura Keene is a fascinating character, and our leading lady was quite an interesting project. I'm not sure how many people in the audience know about this project, but tell them about it. It's really...
Leading lady is something that came up in New York. Yeah, Laura Keene, the death of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, performing at the Ford Theater.
Right.
The night that Lincoln was...
That was a good, an interesting play. Charles Bush wrote it. I really enjoyed myself. Again, I have to tell you this about me. The other thing that has defined me, not just these roles, is the friendships that have developed as a result of the projects that I have adored. In Our Leading Lady, I made 2 great friends, Reed Birney and Christine Nielsen, and I remember that probably most vividly of all. When you know that you're going to love a couple of people for the rest of your life, it's really fun to go on stage with them, you know? This is a wonderful character. It was great, but it was brief. And then I went on to do Clytemnestra in Iphigenia
2.0.
Charles, yeah, that was.
I'd love to hear a little bit about that project, because that's...
Well, that was extraordinary, because it's the House of Atreus. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the House of Atreus. Yes. Very, very difficult.
Wait, was it...
Somebody's crashing the stage.
Or was it Romeo and Juliet with you and I, Kate Mulgrew?
Robbie Duncan McNeil, everybody!
I hear you talking about theater, and I feel like I must come out. And
Well, you're out.
Yes, I'm out. I've come out. I've come out of the doors, not just
Do you know
calm
we
down,
have
everybody.
we have a special sort of relationship because when I got Captain Janeway, you'd already been there for how many weeks?
I have to lean down because you're short.
Been there?
How many weeks had I been there? Maybe 2, 3 weeks?
Yeah, and you know that Jean-Pierre Bugeaud, the original pick for Captain Janeway, had stepped aside to my great advantage and happiness. And when I was cast, they had my trailer right across from Robbie's. So we had 7 years of intimate.
Yes, we did.
Of course. Yes, and we became great friends.
Yes, we did.
You made me laugh.
Oh, I just wanted to say hi to you.
Is everything good?
Everything's great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He's a wonderful director now, you know. He's a wonderful television director.
Yeah, I came out. I had a few notes on your panel. I'd like to try it again. Take 2, if you don't mind. All right. I hope I see you.
All right, I'm going to see you later on
Yeah.
today.
You guys treat her well. Treat her nice. She's my really good friend. I'll see you soon. Okay. Bye, guys. Bye, sir. Thank you.
This is fast for me. I have to admit that I shot on location last night. I do a series called Orange is the New Black. And we were shooting in Rockland last night, and I didn't get home till 2 o'clock in the morning. So, and then I had to jump on that plane at 5, so I'm a little...
You were shooting Orange last night, did you?
Yeah.
You're telling me next season?
Oh, I'm in season 6 now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about Orange, okay? And then we're going to get to Voyager. Now, Orange is...
And I also would like to take some questions.
Yeah, we're going to. It's all coming. Red is an iconic role. Did Genji approach you directly about it, or how did that come about?
I came from my agent. It was an audition.
Did you know about Genji?
Let me dispel that myth about getting offers. Some actors, by the name of Meryl Streep, get offers, but most of us have to audition. Certainly I have. So I got this audition call, and I went down. It was a very small copy, no more than 3/4 of a page, and at the top it said, Galina Red-Reznikov is the chef at Litchfield Minimum Facility Prison. She is of Russian extraction, but she is fully assimilated into the American culture, so we really just want a suggestion that she is Russian. And yet, when they said, rolling action for the test, what came out of my mouth was this woman.
Yeah.
That's what came out. That's what leapt right into my imagination. She was nothing more, no less than this. And they said, that's it. That's it. And it was, as it has been in my life, most serendipitous. A real love affair.
It's an amazing character, but the character has gone through quite an arc. I mean, she was the ruler of the kitchen, and then deposed.
I literally lost my head last season, didn't I?
It's really, really crazy, but the ensemble is so strong. When you work with a huge, strong ensemble like that, as you discovered on Voyager, the sum of the parts is greater than the individuals.
That's correct.
Yeah, and does Genji come down on the set at all? And
she's on the set right now. She always writes the kickoff to the season, and she is, as you know, a genius. So she's on set now, and without giving anything away, because you know we're shot if we give any spoilers. Season 6, I think, will probably be my favorite. Without putting too fine a point on it, let me just say, as you know, there was a riot in season 5.
Yeah, that lockdown, the whole 5th season was pretty well much 3 days of the lockdown.
That's 3 days.
Yeah.
2 COs are dead.
Yeah, that was intense.
It's Judgment Day. It's Judgment Day. Yeah? Scary. Because Judgment Day there is unlike any other Judgment Day. Anybody can go at any time. Witness Poussey. Wasn't that amazing? Wasn't that shocking? I know, but it was also extremely effective, wasn't it?
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. Okay, so on to Voyager. Most of us know that Genevieve had the role, and couldn't carry it, and it's not a value judgment on her for whatever the reasons.
It is a value judgment of the highest kind.
You think it is?
Had she delayed that decision, I think that this may well have never come to pass. That woman had courage. She had moral courage, certainly. She knew exactly what she needed to do for herself. I have nothing but the greatest of respect for her. First of all, as an actress, she's divine, Geneviève Bujold. But secondly, that she called it within 48 hours.
Right.
And opening the door to the success of Star Trek Voyager. Just imagine if she, languished and the whole thing could have been an absolute
But
disaster.
how do you so quickly segue into it?
Well, I'd gone in before, but she'd already been locked in.
You had tested for it.
But I was in sort of a very small pool, and that pool was called back again. There were only 3 of us, or maybe 4 of us. And I remember the day going back in. This was the last thing. Bujold was out. I was at home. I was running 103 temperature. I had 2 small babies. And my agent called and said, they want you in and they'd like you to go in tomorrow. And here's the copy. It's going to be delivered, and you got to be there, and you go, bump, this is it. I was so sick, Adam. I was so sick. That kind of sick where you're just, the perspiration is just sort of dripping off. I was white as a sheet. I couldn't even really take care of my little babies. I had them in bed with me. We were eating Big Macs. It was okay. And then I said to my nanny, you must take these small children away so I can work on this copy. And they did it. And the next day I got up and I was still sick, and I went in there. And something happened that indicated to me that this was not going to be a normal day. We were all completely equal on this playing field, those 3 actresses and myself. And yet when I walked in, a woman greeted me and she said, Miss Mulgrew, we're going to put you in the private room. And I could see the other 3 out in the other room, all sort of spaced, all deeply concentrating on their work, but they put me in a private room. And I instantly knew I was in for something unusual. So they called each one of them in. I was last. I walked in, and it was a horseshoe table with 50 people.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, except I was sort of slightly dazed by my sickness, slightly pleased that I'd been put in a private room, and as Red is fond of saying, we got nothing to lose, baby, right? Absolutely nothing to lose. I clocked Rick Berman right away. I don't know how. I just locked onto his eyes, and I smiled at him. And he sort of looked at me like, we don't smile in here. This is the business of Star Trek Voyager. This is the biggest franchise, and you got to get it together. There was brass in the room from Paramount, brass from UPN, the creative team.
This was to be the flagship of UPN.
This was the flagship show for UPN.
It's a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
A lot of money riding on this. So I had 2 huge scenes, one with Tuvok and one the monologue. We're lost in an uncharted part of the universe, right? The galaxy. And I did them. And I did them sort of with great confidence and humor. I remember laughing with whoever was reading Tuvok with me. And at the end, I turned and I said, would you like me to do those again?
Whoa.
And Rick Berman looked at me and said, no, I think that's sufficient. I looked at him and I winked at him. I don't know what got into me. My temperature must have been 110. I said, winking? He must have thought, is she insane? I said, are you quite sure, Mr. Berman? He said, I'm quite sure, Miss Mulgrew. You are dismissed. And I remember we walked out to the parking lot, myself and the other 3 women, and they wanted to talk about our chances. And this calm had flooded me. I mean, this kind of sense of, I don't know, philosophical goodwill, for lack of a better phrase. And I turned to the 3 lovely actresses and said, may the best man win, girls. It's in the hands of the gods. If you need it more than I do, I'm sure you'll get it. Imaginary cigarette, boom.
All right.
I drove home then. I drove home with a very false sense of hubris. There was no message on the machine, and the machine was dead for the rest of the day. And that's when I became a bad mother. So I said to my little children, You mustn't disturb me. I'm in anguish. I want you to learn how to spell that word. A-N...
Oh, so it finally set in and you started getting nervous.
3 days went by.
Oh, yeah.
It was the high Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur in Los Angeles, meaning shut down. But I'm Roman Catholic. What do I know, right? Why is the phone so dead? Finally, at the end of the 3rd day, I said to myself, that's it.
Yeah, when Yom Kippur is
No,
over.
I said, Mulgrew, you are really full of it. And this is what you get for your... This is what you get for overconfidence. Don't do it. Go to the market, pull yourself together. You've got 2 kids to raise. The next job is coming. Get moving. Enough. I went down, I'll never forget it, to San Vicente Market. I did my marketing. I planned my meal for the night. I was looking forward to it. I came home, and my 2 children and my nanny, my Mexican nanny, whom I adore, Lucilla, standing on my porch going, Mother! Mother! Anguish! Anguish! So, get out of the car, get to the phone. I said, why, just do it. So I went in the little blinky light, which means heaven, 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 was blinking. Kids are standing there, Lucy's standing there. I played the messages back. Miss Mulgrew, this is Rick Berman calling. I just wanted to say, welcome aboard, Captain. I said to my children and my nanny, on your knees. And they all got on their knees. Sign of the cross, thank you, Father. Get the champagne, Lucy, out of that refrigerator.
And it couldn't have been lost on you that this is a historic moment for Star Trek also. First female commander. I mean,
nothing was lost on me, Adam.
You know,
it was huge.
It was a sense of history.
I knew it was television history. I knew it was certainly in personal terms going to be transcendent. I knew everything. I knew my kids were going to go to a really good school. It was divine. And if anybody loves hard work, it's me. So then he calls me back and he says, yeah, this is Friday. I want you here, 5 a.m. on Monday morning. And that's when the reality began to dawn. And I was literally shot out of a cannon. That was absolutely breathtaking and frightening. It's as if somebody handed me 30 pages of Japanese, of Greek. Learn it, make sense of it, make it spin, make it yours, be charming. Walking on that bridge the first day with all those tall guys and all that, and 50 guys in suits on the lip of the bridge, just waiting for me to fail. Just waiting for me to fail. And I knew it. And when I walked down on that bridge, and I saw them out of the corner of my eye, and I'm greeting Lieutenant blah blah, Lieutenant, 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 and I sat in my chair, and I said, engage.
That's good. So great.
I thought, you guys, nah. And it was then the following 7 years were terrific.
Amazing. We have to go to our audience questions and answers, so let's go ahead and do that. Take it away.
This lady?
Yep.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
First of all, thank you for the book. This season of Orange was show-stopping. I actually had to stop on episode 10, because I was like having a panic attack. I'm like, my precious Kate is being hurt, and I can't do anything.
Scalped.
The part that bothered me the most was when Red was having this speech about aging, and she says, I used to be such a beautiful girl. And that, I was like, you're so beautiful, I love you, and I just, like, I hope you know, and I hope Red knows that you're loved and you're amazing. And
what a beautiful thing to say. Thank you. I loved that speech from Red, though. Red is telling the truth, as any woman over 60 in this room will attest. We do age. It is always difficult, especially when you've been pretty, right? But there is a different kind of process, and it's called aging with grace. And that's what Red was referring to, and that's what I love.
you're amazing, I love you.
Thank you. What nice words. You made my day. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Kate.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going well. How about you?
Doing good.
Good.
Got a question. This movie is still on the pier on the with Chris Pine and Quinn Quito and Selena. Will we ever see you? Camel appears in the Star Trek new movie?
I'd like to. God, I'd love to do something with those two rogues, Bill Shatner and Patrick Stewart. Wouldn't that be fun? Get the captains together? I don't know, darling. I mean, certainly no one has approached me, but I'm open to it. If they were smart, they'd do it, I think, don't you? Before we all recede into oblivion, they should do it. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
I have this written down because I'm so nervous.
Aw, don't be nervous, though.
I also wanted to ask about Orange is the New Black. Red and Nikki's relationship is one of my favorite parts of the show, and it's so important to me and many of my friends, and I was wondering how much it means to you as the character of Red and as yourself.
It means a lot. It's funny you should bring that up, because last night at midnight, I was sitting next to Natasha Lyonne on location, and she made me laugh so hard. Genji Cohan turned and said, "Do I have to kick you off the set?" Natasha Lyonne is the single most funniest person I've ever known. And our connection is absolutely organic. I adore her. She's an absolute original. And she's, unexpected on every level. And when we're working together on camera, it doesn't go away. It's there, and it's vibrant, and it's true. So that's what you're seeing. It's all true. She's a good pal of mine. That's what you're reading. So you're very discerning. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Kate. Kathryn Janeway was probably the strongest of the captains, in my opinion. Everyone else had Starfleet, but she was left all alone in an unknown area of space, and she had to make her own decision.
Thank you very much.
So I guess my question is, this kind of came up to me when I was watching Tuvix, and I thought that episode was going to be funny, and it ended up tearing my heart out.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, I guess, what episode or what choice Janeway had to make was the most difficult for everyone on set or for you personally?
You're going to have to refresh my memory. Remember, I did 7 years, right? 26 a year. Did I order him to be killed?
Yes.
Yes, I think I did. The hardest episode, apropos of a philosophical choice, would be Death Wish, and also the most challenging. Because I love Q. I love the idea of the continuum. It's so sort of shocking, isn't it? It's very, very disconcerting, very unsettling for Homo sapiens. And so when his young nephew approaches me and wants the right to end his life, he does not wish to live forever. Everything in Janeway responds sort of in a completely human fashion. I want him to rethink it. I try to confront him from a scientific point of view, from a human point of view, from an emotional point of view, but he'll have none of it, and he turns me. And that was, in fact, the most sort of enlightening thing that I think had befallen Kathryn Janeway. The idea that, of course, he should have the right to end his own life. Who wants to live forever?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, there's a lot going on down there, isn't there? It is appalling to think of living forever, but I really love life. I'm coming to grips with that a little bit. Mortality is an extraordinary thing. Yes?
Hello, thank you for coming.
Sure.
I'm a huge fan since Ryan's Hope.
Oh, thanks.
You are my hero. Janeway's my favorite captain. I love your ideas, your opinions, your politics, but I need your help. I started watching Orange is the New Black. I got to season 3, and I found it challenging and demanding to watch, and so I stopped. So I need you to help me get back into it.
What was the stumbling block? When was the stumbling block?
I'm a huge science fiction fantasy fan, and I found the storyline, the characters were very gritty, and it's not something I'm used to watching.
Madam, let me be the first to say you are entitled to your own taste and your own opinion. And in fact, I absolutely respect it. I don't think Orange is the New Black is for everybody. And clearly it's not for you. So you don't have to go back to it, but continue watching science fiction on a high level. Do what gratifies and satisfies you as a viewer. Thank you.
Yeah. Back over here. Running out of time, guys.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
I just want to let you know how you've been doing lately.
How have I been doing lately?
Yes.
How have you been doing lately? You're a princess, aren't you? You're in a red...
That's your book.
My book is good. My second book, you mean? Aren't you smart? I am writing my second book, and it will come out in the spring of 2019.
Let you know, I'm
Yeah.
wearing this cape and this dress just for you.
Well, thank you, sweetheart. What's your name?
Rebecca Lee Wilson,
You are beautiful and charming, and I thank you for your words, Rebecca.
Michelle, and Eric. I bought this dress from their home.
It's gorgeous. Let's give her a hand. She's a little beauty. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, darling. Thank you for coming. Darling.
I think we've got time for just one or two more, so let's get real quick with this.
Yeah.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
It's great to meet you. You are my hero. You're the one who got me into math and science when I discovered Voyager.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that. That's more gratifying than anything. All right.
All right. My question is actually the Q in the Gray, where Q proposes to Captain Janeway. I remember reading or hearing it from someone that you didn't want Captain Janeway to have like a romantic relationship. So what was your reaction when you learned that John DeLance was going to have to propose to you? And also...
Were we in the bathtub in that episode?
No, that was Q too. This is the one...
He never gives up, does he? And why? Because he's going to live forever.
It's the one where you're in the Q-Continuum and it's like Civil War and all.
Right. Well, we all know that that's just sort of falderall and fiddle-dee-dee with Q, because it can't be, and it's wildly amusing. But I did go to the producers about Chakotay, because there was a hue and a cry about all of that. Oh, let's have them fall in love, let's have them. And my line is always the same, lending an entirely new meaning to the ready room, right? You can't have that. In a ship, lost in the Delta Quadrant, can't find the gas station. I've got 165 complement, and I'm in my ready room bopping the commander? No. So I went to the producers and I said, I am still of childbearing years. Your strongest demographic is men between the ages of 18 and 35, and to win them over, the captain, the first female captain, cannot be having dalliances with her crew. I'm not going to do it. You will find another way. And as we all know, they did. Take one more, are we done?
They've given me the cutoff.
They gave you the cutoff?
Yeah.
You are terrific, as you have always been, and I have nothing but gratitude. Thank you.